You want to be recognized right away. In one glance, people will be like, oh, like they see your logo. In one glance, they associate it to you and your values and your story and who you are.
You're listening to the One Man Business Podcast, brought to you by Rod Pensine. Everything you need to know to run your own show.
Welcome to our first podcast. My name is Rod, and I'm here today, super excited. I have my colleague, my friend, Flavie Dufrenne.
Yes.
That's good? That's nice. She's a graphic designer, a lot of experience. She's from France. We both live here in Canada. And today we're going to talk about logos. Hello, Flavie. How are you?
Good. Hi.
Are you good?
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for this podcast. Let's start talking about logo. Can you briefly describe what is a logo?
What is a logo? The logo will be the symbol of your brand. So basically, that would be the symbol that would represent you every other time consistently through all the collaterals, websites, business cards, anything printed and digital. So
that's a great description, yeah. And it's I like you mentioned consistency. I think this is the key word in any communication work. If you don't want to confuse your users or clients or prospects in any business, I think if you have like consistency, you just make easy for them to recognize you and to actually engage with you. I think this is a key element for graphics and visuals, right?
Well, more than that, you want to be recognized right away. In one glance, people will be like, oh, like they see your logo. In one glance, they associate it to you and your values and your story and who you are. So that's what a logo for me is for.
That's awesome. Can you, like, from your experience, like the difference between a business has, like, for example, like some people like just put a name, like, especially when I'm doing web design, then I ask people like, do you have a logo? Do you have like a visual identity? And they don't know, just put a name. What is the difference between a business that has no visual identity for a business that has like all this back, like let's say like all the visual identity?
Well, even though you have just a name, and you can have a logo type. It's not because it's your name, you just like put it in Arial or something. You can have a logo type that will be very strong and very recognizable. You have Coca-Cola in French, that the C, like everything, is just a name, but it's very recognizable. It's the white and the red and also the letters. You have few like this, and you can be a coach and just have your name, but have it in a font or in a way that it's different, and it will be kind of a visual and engage people, like give away your values and give the message.
That's awesome.
So,
since we are talking about it, can you tell people like what are the types of logo that we can have? Like, what are the type of logos that it?
Well, there's 5 different types of logo. First, it would be the logo type. So it's actually just a name. It's perfect for coaches and personal trainers or anyone who works with their names. So that's quite nice. I wouldn't recommend more than 2 different fonts in those logo types. The second one would be the acronyms. So it will be IBM. So it's more for IT people. So instead of having a long and unpronounceable name, you have those acronyms. You just make sure like it works IBM, that you can pronounce them together. So that's the thing. Yeah. So there's that. And it's quite 80s still. We have the one that I call the logo, the emblem logo. So it's let's say Burger King or the NASA logo. It's written inside the logo, so you can't have just the symbol and then the writing. It's all together. So the thing is, if you want to print it in small, you're losing, you can't read it anymore, so you're losing a little bit of with it.
There's some of that are tricky, especially when I'm doing web design, because usually we have the menu bar and it's so tricky. Like, okay, I have this beautiful rounded logo with a lot of graphics.
It takes so much space.
Oh my god! And should we like center the logo and then now build the menu aside? So it is. We definitely need to think about the applications, right? Of the graphics.
And that's why the logo that is more common right now nowadays is the combined logo. So it's actually a logo type.
This is the fourth one, right?
Yes, the fourth one. It's the logo type with the symbol. That the symbol will be in front of it or on top of it. So then it's more versatile. So then you can have a square version or an horizontal version. So square version is good for me as a print designer. It's awesome on the business cards and even for the profile pictures on every social media. It's perfect to have a square version. But for you guys, when you do the web, when you have the header and it goes smaller, you want the horizontal version because then you don't have this huge bar that takes half of the space and it's crazy. And then as a Nike or Twitter, then it can when you did a great, time will help and consistency, social medias, and you're trusted, then you don't have to put your name anymore, and then only the symbol will survive. Like Twitter, like Nike, you don't need the Nike under the swoosh anymore. So that's what I'm aiming for when I'm doing a logo. I'm doing a combined, so then I'm hoping that in maybe 5 to 10 years, they will be able to just live with a symbol, and they won't need to like Lululemon and all those brands. So those are
so we have five.
The fourth kind of
there's some variations, let's say,
yes,
for this. That's cool. So so I'm starting a business. I know that it's really important to have a logo, to brand myself, to be recognized as as myself, as my business, my own brand. So what is the difference between a logo that I get from those websites, Fiverr or 99 Design, from your logo? Let's say, what is the difference from a logo for $50? I buy a logo, and what is the difference? $1,500. Let's say a $1,500.
It's actually a decent price.
Yeah.
For a logo. Well, the main difference will be the first one, the person won't take time or care or won't even try to understand your business. They don't care. You want, this is the name and I want green and leaves, and they will do that, put it together and take it or leave it. It's $50. Most of the time it won't live long, and I'd say in 2 years you'll have to do another one, and then you'll pay the price because you'll need someone that will be when you're starting a business, you don't have the money to pay for a new logo every year, and you want to have something that is actually sustainable, because you'll do business cards, you'll do things so you don't want to have to print new business cards every year or every time. And with me, when I do a logo, so I'm not a Fiverr person, it would be, I will ask you about your business, but not about your business now only, but where you want to be in 5 or 10 years, because it's just, and the message you want to, what you want people think or feel when they see your logo, what are your values and all that thing. So it's the logo is made for you. It may not be what you thought it would be at first, but together we'll collaborate and go through the process. So then it will be perfect for you, for who you are, but also to speak to your target.
Exactly. Yeah. That's something that I had experience my previous agents. Now I'm focused in web design, but with branding. As you know, I work a lot with branding strategy, and I think that's the key element. When you are doing a logo, a $1,500 logo, there's a structure, a thinking behind. There's branding strategy behind. You are doing research. You are positioning your business. You are researching the competitors. When you are doing the logo with Fiverr, the designer is just getting a briefing, and he's doing exactly what you ask for it, and you don't know what you should do because you are not a brand specialist, right? You client.
Worse than that, I met this girl, and she was showed me the logo she had from Fiverr, and she hated it so much, and she told me what she asked the guy to do, and the guy it's $15, so they spent like not even an hour on it. Yeah. And because she wasn't able to express exactly what she wanted, the vision she had, well, the guy was like trying after 3 times, like, okay, leave me alone. It's not worth it. So it was a bad experience. She never had her logo. She was down $50. And then we met, and she was like, okay, we talked about a little bit. I did like few sketches, and she was like, okay, I'm working with you. I'm like, sure.
Yeah.
So, and now she has a new business, and I'm going to do the new logo as well.
That's super interesting. It's like, I just want to give the listeners some advice. If they're starting a business and if they are growing their business, there's a big difference, right, Flavie? If you're starting a business, you're just trying out, for example, an e-commerce platform like Shopify or even WooCommerce, just trying to automate your process or getting an extra income, you're not going to spend $1,500 in a logo. So if you were starting a business, what you should do in terms of logo, visual identity?
If you start a business, if you don't know what you're doing and you don't have any graphic design skills, like if you don't know how to use any of the softwares, I would say don't try to do something too crazy. Be kind of humble, do something that is nice visually.
More flat, let's say, in terms of, yeah.
Yes, so, because then, it will, I don't know, yeah. And, if you stick to your values and you do good things, when you start, the logo is not that important. But when after 3 years, when you're good, when you know it's viable, you're doing a great job, and, you're having more and more people, you want to actually consolidate your identity and the people, and make a kind of a symbol that will gather the tribe together. So that's when you need a logo, and you'll know that will make you go further, a few steps further. You will be the great turn.
That's a great advice. I'll add actually something that is really important for me. Reference. I think if you're starting a business and you have a strong reference of what you want or what you want to be, in terms of, for example, you mentioned coach, it's really popular now, and just try to find someone that you can really a mentor or something that you can use their identity as a reference, and if it's aligned with your values and with your personality, just try to not to copy that, but just try to use as a reference, so it's easier for these designers that's called cheap projects to reproduce that and create a design aligned with that. And then after some time, you can just improve that, of course. So if you're growing a business, why is so important to spend money? We already talked about the consistency and all this stuff, but if you're buying from Fiverr, you're just getting a logo, a PNG
I'm so
file,
happy you're asking the question.
Right? So what is included? Because that's why I think when you're growing a business, you have so many ways to use a logo, so many needs in terms of visual identity, right?
Well, what I give, so when I do a logo, when I make a logo, the files I will give the clients is actually, so it will have a JPEG high resolution, a JPEG low resolution, a PNG, and a PDF, the Illustrator PDF. So it's the original file. All those 4 files for the logo in black, the logo in white, and the logo in color. And with that, I do, that's on my first price, will be kind of a cheat sheet for guidelines. So you have your colors, the minimum size you can print. Most of the time, the 2 fonts that we choose are the fonts that are used in the logo. So then they kind of know what it is. And sometimes it comes in all the same for the square version and then the horizontal version. And you have all that on your paper, and you always have always add all the versions, why they're for, and how to use them.
That's super
so
important.
then, yeah, so they know, because so many times I asked for the Victor, the PDF logo, and the clients gave me a PNG, and when you're printing, it's like impossible.
It's impossible, yeah. And for me as well, like as a web designer, I really rely on the visuals that the client already decide on. Like they already, thought about that. So I don't need to actually, and this is the most important step, I think, in the step that will take more time. It's time consuming, the content and the visuals. So I do the website in 7 steps. You can check on my website. I love to do websites.com. And I use a 7-step process, really fast, really easy to manage with clients. But if the client doesn't have a logo or identity in place, it's really hard for me it will be like really confusing for me to translate a personality that doesn't exist. So I have to figure out, it's kind of like doing a branding as we go, as we're doing the web design. It's really, and another thing is, as a graphic designer, and most of the time, people, business owners, they are super busy. They're trying to build their business. They're trying to do a lot of things, wearing a lot of hats. So what they need to do is actually connect both professionals, right? Both designer and web designer, so they can do the project,
together. We're supposed to be a team, and we're not supposed to be in competition. I do branding, and that's what I love to do, and that's what I do. I don't do web design. I don't do web development, because that's not what that's not what makes me happy. So when they have a web designer, I have mine, I have you. So I'm more like, every time, like, oh, I have Rod is great. But if they have someone else, like, okay, like, keep us in touch. Yeah. Because that's important if they have anything. But I always do the cheat sheet for the guidelines, because then they're able to send it to you. They don't have to memorize anything. They don't have to try. It's like, oh, it was a red. I don't know. Like, red is red. No. I do choose my red, the right red. And then they can send it to you, and you have all the codes, the color codes, and you know what to do. And then you can start. You have a start. You have something to start from.
Yeah, that's super important. Thank you so much,
Thank
Flavie,
you
for sharing all this knowledge. And how many years of experience?
Oh man, I think it's almost 15 years now.
What is next for you? Do you have any plans for your business? Do you want to just share the last message, or
I want to expand into illustrations.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, you have great ones. I love your illustrations. Check Flavie Dufrenne.
Oui, Flavie Dufrenne.
Online, and her website, your website?
My website is greatdesign.com, great with 2 R's. So GRREAT design.com.
Perfect. That's awesome. Rod here. Send you good vibes. Ciao.
Ciao.